Hello everyone, Giltar here with a Kamen Rider action figure review for Rider Fest, and this is week 2 of Rider Fest. This time we'll be looking at the S.I.C. Kiwami Tamashii Auto Vajin figure, which was originally released in December of 2009 and normally retails for 2,000 yen, so that's about $23 American at current exchange rates. However, it was recently re-released in July of 2010, so about several weeks ago, and so that gave an opportunity for people who missed the first release of Auto Vajin, gave them a second chance to pick up this very nice figure. Now, Auto Vajin here is a transforming figure. It normally can either be a sort of humanoid robot form, or as you see here, in a vehicle form, which is a motorcycle. I've got Kiwami Tamashii S.I.C here posed with it, just to give you guys an idea of how the figures sort of stack up to each other in terms of their relative sizes, and to show you how they can be posed. Now, that's not by any means the only way to pose a figure with it. I didn't, for example, another Kiwami Tamashii figure should be able to hold on to the handlebars. S.I.C should be able to do it. I just never bothered to put it on, for the purposes of this review. It might have been a little finicky to try to remove it. So as far as Auto Vajin goes for the vehicle mode, as you can see here, it is sort of a futuristic motorcycle design, more like a dirt bike or something you would see in motocross. Very nice sculpt, paint applications as well, no flaws as far as I can see. A very nice weathering effect. There's sort of a grungy, gritty, dingy look to it, which I really like for the S.I.C. sort of design aesthetic. It doesn't necessarily make things look more realistic, but it makes things look just more gritty and sort of lived in. And not only does that show up in a costume design like S.I.C's, but it really shows up well in the Auto Vajin design, because it looks like it doesn't look like a showroom vehicle that's all spotless and shiny. This looks like something that has seen some wear and tear, which is a detail that I like. Now, as far as the vehicle mode goes, it just looks spot on to me, for a vehicle, something that looks convincingly as a vehicle. You don't really see any obtrusive robot parts, or as Transformers fans would say, kibble. However, there are two things I would point out that could be considered kibble. These foot components at the back of the motorcycle, and the sort of headlight here. It is the head component of the robot form, so those two things are more obvious, but everything else is just very well integrated. They're not even hidden, they're integrated into the design, which I think is a really great thing. And to be honest, for Transformers or transforming vehicle designs, it's very rare to get a truly successful vehicle form of a motorcycle. Most of the time you're either going to have really good looking motorcycle forms or really good looking humanoid forms, but not often do we see both looking so well, and Auto Vajin, in my opinion, succeeds on both ends. So with that being said, let's move into the transformation. Now, the only two parts you need to attach after transformation are two fixed pose hands. Aside from that, it doesn't have any other accessories. Now, even though it is a true transforming figure, there is some minimal part swapping. First of all, the kickstand has to be removed. Or it doesn't have to be, but I guess most people do. I haven't seen photos of Auto Vajin with the kickstand still pegged into the arm here. I don't mind doing it, but just for the purposes of the review, I'm going to remove it. The other parts you would remove is just the front wheel assembly and the steering column, just pegged into the top. I'll move it off camera to remove that component. As you guys might have noticed, I'm using a slightly new setup for my video here, so I'm still getting used to it, and it's a little bothersome to try to sort of remove certain parts or transform certain parts on camera. But anyways, here we go. Here's the main body of Auto Vajin, the main body of the motorcycle. So again, very minimalistic in terms of what you have to remove for the part swapping process. The rest of this involves true transformation. Now, before I get into that, I'm going to move up my camera, just because Auto Vajin in humanoid robot form is definitely going to be tall enough so that I will require elevation of the camera so you guys can see the whole figure. So as far as transformation goes, this is by no means an instructional sort of segment, but I'm going to just show you guys how I do it. First of all, I will just free the forearms from the bottom of the bike. They do peg in, and once the forearms are freed from the bottom, then I separate them like so, and they just flip out the arms, and these are the shoulders, and this is the front torso of Auto Vajin. Next, I'll just rotate the motorcycle's rear wheel, and then just flip it up here like this. It's on a hinge joint, and this basically becomes the backpack of Auto Vajin. Next, I would move down the lower legs. These are the knee joints, double hinged. separate the lower legs, and then the hip joints up here, basically just move them out to the side and swivel them downwards. Now, unfortunately, there's nothing to lock them in place, so then they can be a little finicky. They tend to move around a bit while you're trying to pose the figure, so keep that in mind. For the foot components, you just flip them out. These are the front portions of the feet. In the back of the calves, we have these sort of like heel stands, or basically, yeah, they're like heel stands. So they provide stability for the figure. And as you can see, this is basically the body of Auto Vajin. So next up are the rest of the parts. I'll just separate these components from the steering column. So that's a little tough. There we go. Actually, I'll just put that there. Now this joint here normally should be into the back of the head, I guess, like so. And you remove this bottom part here, which actually becomes the shoulder pad or shoulder armor. It just pegs into the side here. And you only get one of them, so Auto Vajin kind of has an asymmetrical look to the design, which I do like, actually. Something else to note is that the shoulders are actually pegged in, so you can actually remove them as well if they give you any difficulty. So as far as the head goes, basically these are kind of like the ears, I guess, for the sides of the head of Auto Vajin. Really nice looking design as well. I don't know if you guys can make it out, but there's interior molded and painted parts of the head with transparent plastic, clear plastic over the top. So you actually have a layer of depth in the visual design of the figure that is actually really nice, especially when light hits it and you can see through it even better. So the steering column here, basically you peg this on the top of the shoulders, 2 tabs there, just peg it down. And then you insert the neck joint here actually goes horizontally rather than vertically down into the sort of pit of the neck. So it does have a sort of interesting joint connection for the neck of Auto Vajin, which I think is pretty interesting. Next up, you just peg in the hands. Again, these are fixed pose hands. I think I lost the other one. Nope, there it is. Right here. Now these are ball joint pegs, which are nice for articulation, but I do have concerns about them over time. After repeated sort of attachment and removal of the hands, I can see these joints weakening over time and just wearing down, either becoming loose or possibly getting stressed or even breaking. So be aware of that when you do, if you do have this figure. Just be careful with the hand connections. And finally, the front wheel section can peg into the back of the forearm, and it becomes basically, I guess, like either a weapon or a defensive shield, I guess. I'm not sure what it is. I've never watched S.I.C, so I don't know what Auto Vajin's capabilities are. But that's pretty much it. The robot form, the only part left over is the kickstand, which again you can still attach to the forearm if you want, but I'll just leave it here like this. As you can see, beside S.I.C, Auto Vajin's a good probably 2 inches taller, so it's actually a really tall Kiwami Tamashii figure. As far as articulation goes, it's pretty much the same as any other Kiwami Tamashii figure. There is a lack of a waist joint, but because of the seat being there, first of all, if you were to make a joint there, it would visually make this kind of look a little cut up and messy looking, and also it would probably further cause some instability with the figure. So, if you had sort of a loose waist joint combined with these sort of iffy hip joints, because they're not iffy, but they tend to not lock into place. So to have all these different joints at the same area being somewhat loose or at least not secure, it's just it would cause instability issues, I would imagine. So aside from that, though, I mean, it does everything else that other Kiwami Tamashii figures do. Double jointed knees. It can actually move its arms and hips out quite a good degree there. So it actually, in some ways, is superior to other Kiwami Tamashii figures with respect to articulation. Now, just to go off on a tangent for a moment, my S.I.C figure here has a really loose knee joint there. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if it's a common issue or just a QC issue, a quality control issue with my particular S.I.C, but yeah, it's got a really loose right knee. So I guess that pretty much does it for all the sort of information about the figure itself of Auto Vajin. So let's get into the pros and cons. I'll start off with the pros. First and foremost, it just has a really nice transformation design. Very elegant and simple and intuitive. Yet at the same time, even though it's not necessarily complicated, it's complex enough in design so that I can actually appreciate it. I'm a longtime Transformers fan. I'm a big fan of transformation design. I love the Alternity figures, Binaltech and alternators. The Revenge of the Fallen line of figures have really great engineering for some of the transformations. And so, with that kind of background, for me at least, I really appreciate the design that went into Auto Vajin. It's entirely successful in vehicle form. It's mostly successful in robot form. And the reason why I say mostly is because you can see basically motorcycle parts. But it's not so bad because they do sort of make sense, they flow with the design, they are well integrated, except for maybe the bicycle or the motorcycle wheel, weapon, or shield in the front here. But I still like it because it kind of reminds me of the Junkion designs from Generation 1 Transformers. So yeah, the first pro and the most significant one is just it's really successful in terms of its functional design. A great transforming design for sure. Another good thing about it is just its large size for a Kiwami Tamashii figure. It towers over other Kiwami Tamashii figures. It's pretty much almost as tall as an SH Figure Arts figure, so it's not small by any means. And just the bulk of the shield, the backpack, at least the one shoulder armor piece, it also gives it a broader appearance, and I really like the look of the design for sure. And you know, not only is it larger, it also has really great articulation. That's something else to consider as well. This is, you know, other Kiwami Tamashii figures have good articulation. The Auto Vajin, aside from the lack of waist joint, has even better articulation at the shoulders and waist, especially. Now, moving on to the cons, I'd have to first say it's the price. It's a high-end toy, high-end action figure. At 2,000 yen, it's quite a bit of money to spend on something like this, for sure. But on the other hand, I can totally understand where that price comes from. And, you know, it's a larger figure, so it takes more material. It's a transforming figure, so there's more engineering and design involved in the process of making this figure. You're not just simply sculpting the parts and putting them together. They have to actually, you know, be put together and function well and work so that it transforms. So even though it is a higher price, it's understandable where that price point's coming from. But still, it is a consideration for you guys to make when you decide whether or not to buy it. Also, even though it is a true transforming figure, it has some minimal part swapping. For people who are more, I guess, Transformers snobs or transforming design snobs, may not like and, you know, disdain that part swapping element. But I think, you know, again, because it's minimal, it's not a big deal, and, you know, it's necessary for a figure this size and for what it does so successfully. If you were to make it a full transforming figure, it would make too many compromises, and we wouldn't get such a nice looking and nice working product at the end of the day. But yeah, aside from that, well, first of all, the pros far outweigh the cons. I would say I definitely recommend this figure. I mean, if it's going to be your one and only Kiwami Tamashii figure, at least it'll be interesting, it'll be unique. It'll be something different from the other Kiwami Tamashii figures that, you know, are in the line. So if you need to get one and you like transforming figures, if you like robot designs, Auto Vajin is the one for you. If you're interested in Kiwami Tamashii figures already, I definitely say get Auto Vajin. It pairs up, you know, great with S.I.C, obviously. But again, it's such an interesting piece in anybody's Kiwami Tamashii collection. I think it's just a really nice figure to get. You know, it's, you know, $23 American or so, but, you know, every once in a while you gotta spend a little money to get something really nice, and that's where Auto Vajin comes in. It really definitely, I think, is worth the money. I mean, if an average Kiwami Tamashii figure like S.I.C here is 1,200 yen, I can definitely understand why this one over here, Auto Vajin, would be 2,000 yen. It is worth the price increase, and yeah, overall, I think it's just an extremely successful transforming design. So aside from that, I guess that's my review. I hope you guys enjoyed it and got something out of it. As usual, I thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys are enjoying Rider Fest, especially week 2 of Rider Fest, where RYC03 or Rick03 has been contributing a lot of great S.I.C reviews from the Blade TV show. So yeah, he's been doing a great job, as you know, as well as everybody else who's been contributing so far. But yeah, week 2 is great. I'm really enjoying watching all the videos. I'm having a great time myself watching all these reviews and learning something new every time. So yeah, once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys at the next video.